our PLUSS feature this week, we are looking at stress awareness, and as this week is International Stress Awareness Week. While many of us feel stressed by similar things like money, jobs or relationships, for some the effects of stress can be very overwhelming, leading to depression and severe anxiety. So as part of this stress awareness session, we are going to be getting some top tips and advice on managing stress and also quashing those myths surrounding stress. And to end our stress-free feature of the show today, there will be a 10-minute meditation session with Jan Rooney, a digital health and wellbeing coach at PLUSS. So if you feel you are in need of a de-stress, stay tuned for that. So to start things off, we're joined by Maureen Newman, who is an in-work health and wellbeing coach at PLUSS, and who is going to explain a bit more about what exactly stress is. Hi Maureen, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Pudge, hi there.
How are you doing today? Lovely to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. Tried to go for a walk earlier and got wet, so there we go.
Yes,
yeah,
one of those things to that at the moment, isn't it? We're all trying to get outside, but winter is very much coming in. I'm going for a run later myself. Yeah, I'm not looking too forward to that. Fingers crossed it stays drier. Anyway.
Raindrops.
Yeah, I think everyone obviously experiences stress in some kind, obviously all the way through life, but it affects people in very different ways. Could you explain firstly what stress is exactly?
Yes, well, stress is the body's reaction to feeling threatened or under pressure. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can be very positive for us because it helps us be motivated, and it helps focus our attention, and it can improve our performance. So stress is a natural part of being a human being. The stress response is a trait which we acquired from evolution when we're in caves as cave dwellers and we were running away from our woolly mammoths. The body reacts in three ways. It's fight, flight or freeze. So when we're stressed, the body releases hormones and chemicals to prepare us to face the threat. Adrenaline raises our blood pressure, increases our heart rate and gives us an energy boost. And the hormone cortisol increases glucose in the bloodstream, helps our brains, and is directed to the large muscle groups in the legs, which helps us run away faster than we'd normally be able to. We get stressed from internal stresses. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies, and that we want to cook that perfect meal, we want the perfect body, we want to have a fantastic house and keep up with the neighbours. But we can also have stresses which are called external stresses, and that's major life events, moving house, bereavement, getting married. But for anyone who's lost their keys or has missed a train, a connection, or has someone cut them up in traffic, all those feelings that we feel are stress. So the primary cause of stress is our own reaction to the stressor. It's important to try and notice when you're stressed. Others will notice perhaps before we notice ourselves.
I think I can definitely, I feel what you're saying about the being cut up in traffic part. Anyone who's been in the car with me will know I get stressed about that. But it can make complete sense, evolutionary, like you said. It's a way of sort of helping us get on or understand the situation or just alerting us, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And it can affect our bodies in many different ways. So there are telltale signs. For our bodies, we can get headaches and we can get muscle tension or pain. We might feel extremely tired. We might have a change in our sex drive, or we get stomach upsets, or sleep. Sleep's a very common problem. Stress can also affect your mood. It can make you feel restless. It can take your motivation away or your focus. It can make you feel anxious or irritable or sad, or even we can get depressed. And it can affect our behavior in that we might overeat or we might undereat. We might need that glass of wine when we come in the door, or have those cigarettes to try and help calm us. We might become quite socially withdrawn, or we might want to exercise less. So these are the things that we can look out for to try and, because if we can recognise stress, we can start to try and help ourselves with it.
Fantastic. It's good to have those early warning signs there. And obviously people are living very full lives these days and juggle busy social lives with pressurised, demanding jobs. How would you say stress can affect your work, and what methods can be used to alleviate this?
Well, I think it's worth saying that stress can have a really positive effect on your well-being. It, as well as giving you financial rewards, it helps you develop your skills, and it gives you satisfaction and a direction in life. But work can be a cause of stress. It's called work-related stress, and other stress in your life can impact on your performance at work. Stress can affect your ability to cope, and you might feel overwhelmed. It might make it difficult for you to prioritize your work, or you might find it difficult to concentrate. So try and identify the causes, and I would suggest that you try and speak to a line manager to explain what's impacting on you. It could be your workload, it could be your work environment that might be too noisy for you so you can't concentrate, or it could be your home life or other pressures. But if people don't know about it, they can't try and help you to tackle it. So communication is really important. And there are things we can all do to help ourselves. Try not to work long hours. I know sometimes you can't help it. You have a deadline and you have to perhaps take work home. But if you get into the habit of doing this, it can not necessarily make you more productive. Try to take some breaks. Short breaks are supposed to be better than long breaks. Have a break from the screen, especially if you're working from home. You can find yourself working much longer than if you were having natural interactions with colleagues in a workplace.
Fantastic.
Exercise is really good for you. Go for a walk if you can before work or during lunchtime. Try to relax, and breathing exercises would be really good. Listen to a nice piece of music. Explore mindfulness, and we'll hear more about that later with Jan. Try and look at your work-life balance, look at things that you're doing in life and see if you can get a better balance. And diet's really important, and hydration. Try and remember to drink water. Talk about stress, don't ignore it, is my key
advice. I couldn't agree with you more though on that, on communication, because it's such a big part of this. I don't want to speed you up too much, but I want to ask a very important question. Obviously, how can PLUSS help if you're finding that, if someone's finding they're struggling with stress, and how could somebody get in touch with PLUSS? Okay,
well, if you're struggling with stress, I'd suggest you go and speak to your GP's receptionist and ask to be referred to a social prescriber who will be attached to your GP, because social prescribers will be able to help you with stress. Have a look at the PLUSS website, or I'm sure you'll have the information after this programme. I'm supporting people who are working in Seetec PLUSS, so I'm not available to help the general public, but social prescribers would be, I think, your first port of call. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Really, really great advice. Fantastic stuff to hear. Really lovely to have you on the show as well. So thank you very much. Obviously, please remember, guys, if you want to get in touch with PLUSS, you can find all the contact details on our screen. So get in touch. Now we have a short video with Natalie Brown from PLUSS, who is going to tell us about some of the common myths of stress. Are they true? Are they false? Let's find out.
The answer is actually false. This is not true. Everyone experiences stress and handles stress differently. We don't all experience stress the same. We're all humans and our brains and bodies work in different ways. So what may be stressful for you may not be stressful for somebody else. And it's all dependent on the different situation. So I think ultimately stress is never the same for anybody else. You never know what somebody else is going through in their home life, their work life. For example, somebody that's out of employment might be stressed in terms of the work that they are trying to do to try and find employment. Or somebody within work might be stressed about the different tasks and roles and responsibilities. And in the workplace, we all thrive from different sort of situations, roles, responsibilities. So what might be stressful for you might not be stressful for somebody else. And I think that's the perks of the diversity. So yeah, it is false. Stress does affect everybody differently. So the answer is true. Stress is good for you. While we may think that no stress would lead to a happiness and healthy lifestyle, Stress in moderation is good for you. Stress can help you to thrive towards achieving those challenges and goals and making sure you keep on track of things. The main reason that we have to keep on a handle on stress is because if we have too much stress or multiple occurrences of stress build up, that's when it can have a negative impact on us and we can become burdened. When we handle stress well, we are productive and happy. For example, when I work towards a deadline, I've made sure I've managed myself well and allowed enough time, and then just that little bit of added pressure means that I can stay focused to achieve that deadline. And it might be something outside of work. If you are allowing yourself a little bit more time, time management does come quite well into stress and managing stress. But if we are not in control of our own stresses and those triggers and factors that can cause us to become stressed, that's when we can become even more stressed and burnt out. So the answers to this next one again is true. Stress is all around us. But if through time management, planning, relaxation, resting and recharging, we can make sure that we stay in control of our stress and the stress does not control us. You don't want to be overwhelmed by stress because, as we said, it affects everybody differently and it's all around us. So stress isn't going to go away. So it's how we as people take control and handle that ourselves. So there are simple ways to tackle more complex challenges to ensure that we don't succumb to the stress that is being put around us. And thinking clearly and being able to prioritise means that we are able to control our stresses and be in charge of our stresses. Especially after the return to the world of the pandemic, people have many forms of life laundry, and it's being able to break those down into small steps that are achievable, creating to-do lists so that you can achieve those steps and work through them and not feel burdened by the tasks that you've got to complete. Everybody's life laundry is different, and it's just being able to process the stress in a way that you are able to handle it. This next one is false. So although there are lots of popular tips and tricks for reducing stress and managing stress, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. We are all different people and the ways that our bodies and minds work are all different. So there is never going to be a one-size-fits-all approach. So it's about maybe testing and trying some different mechanisms to help you to be able to handle your stress. We know ourselves the best, so we will know what will work for us and what will be able to help us to be able to reduce our stresses. We all have different reactions and coping mechanisms, and it's about working what really works for you. There are such things as self-help books and apps available that can help you to be able to have a bit more of a managed approach if you're struggling and unable to find a best technique for you. These offer the step-by-step approach, and you can work through them at your own pace and own time to make sure that you can be in control of your stresses. So the answer to this one is false. Just because you don't have symptoms, it doesn't mean you're not experiencing stress. And if you are masking your symptoms with medication, for example, if you've got long-term health conditions and you are having medication, you may miss the signals in terms of the fact that you need to reduce the strain that you are having on you physiologically and psychologically, because any signs and symptoms of stress shows you and your body, you'll notice it in yourself. You might start to become run down, tired, overburdened, and then you're not able to perform at your best. So even those stresses have a psychological effect. Chances are you'll be experiencing stress in a physical way. Common physical signs, as I mentioned, include feeling anxious, run down, or short of breath. Feeling overwhelmed and disorganised and having difficulty concentrating are frequent mental signs that we are stressed. And to perform at our best, we need to address these signs and symptoms of stress. True. Every symptom and every sign of stress does require attention. Mild symptoms such as headaches or stomach acid, feeling of tiredness, can be the early warning signs that your life is maybe getting a little bit too hectic, or you're getting a little stressed, and you may need to address that. And these signs, minor signs of stress, should not be ignored. It's really important that we don't wait for the major stress symptoms, such as the physical aspects that happen to our body, such as heart attacks, because this will be too late. Making simple life changes, like having more exercise, a healthier diet, or adjusting your work-life balance and planning those simple techniques in, can help you to manage your stress and lead for a happier and healthier and more relaxed lifestyle.
Thanks for that, Natalie. And please remember, if you want to get in touch with PLUSS about any stress-related issues, you can get in touch with us here at Chaos, or you will see the various contact details running along the bottom of your screen. I must admit, a few eye-openers there for myself. Now, earlier in the week, I caught up with Scott Woods, a health and wellbeing coach from PLUSS, who spoke to Chaos about the benefits of wild swimming and cold showers, and how these types of activities could be the latest antidepressant. Let's hear what he had to say. I'm pleased now to be joined by Scott Woods, Health and Wellbeing Coach at PLUSS. Hello, Scott.
Hi there, Pudge. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for joining me on the show, much appreciated. You're a Health and Wellbeing Coach at PLUSS. Could you tell us a little bit about your role and how you support people specifically who are struggling with stress?
Okay, yeah. So I've started in this role several months ago, and it's been an absolute blast and a bit of an honour as well. So my role is currently situated within GP surgeries themselves, and my role is to listen more holistically to the needs of the different patients that go in and out of the different surgeries across Cornwall, to see a little bit more about what the cause of that stress might be. And the moment that we know what the cause is, the more we can sort of begin to look at solutions, if you like, to cut off that problem at its root. And so that might mean just a conversation with myself, but it might mean being able to signpost or refer someone to more of a specialist organisation that can help with them. Because you and I both know that there's so many different reasons why people might have stress. And sometimes that can be something as simple as a relationship matter, or it can be something to do with their physical health. But sometimes it can be other environmental factors too, like finances or housing. And so it might be that someone says, yes, okay, it would be great to speak to a counsellor about this. But actually, the moment that I get this financial issue sorted, that stress will go away. And so it's about being able to deal with that situation more holistically with people, to be able to help almost tackle the origins of what could be causing that in the first place.
Absolutely. And now we're all becoming aware of the growing popularity of wild swimming, an activity which really seems to be helping with people's well-being. How did you become interested in this activity? And perhaps can you explain some of the benefits that could be gained from it?
Sure. So my benefits, my interest in this started probably around about, it's going on about 6 years ago now. And I became aware of this Dutch daredevil called Wim Hof. And he's started to sort of gain some serious popularity around the UK, and he's known as the Iceman. And this guy, Pudge, he's broken 28 world records. He climbed Kilimanjaro, Everest, wearing nothing but his shorts. Wow. He ran across the Arctic Circle. I think he did a marathon across the Arctic Circle wearing nothing but shorts, and he was able to spend, I think it was something like 2 hours in the ice without getting hypothermia. And scientists thought that what he was doing was, well, mystical to some extent, because he was defying a lot of scientific principles that we know about biology. But the more that he was studied under scrutiny by different universities, mainly I think in Holland itself, the more they realized there was some sort of scientific proof to almost validate what it was that he was doing. And the most interesting thing about the entire process of cold exposure and the way that our body is naturally wired to be able to handle the cold is that he said that anyone could do this. And so I actually went to Poland and trained with him for around about a week, going on about 5 years ago now, and learned how to, I suppose, deal with the cold. So it would allow you to be able to go into really cold waters and your body wouldn't react the way that it normally would. And since then, I've been doing that with people across the UK as well. And the benefits that you get to see are fairly instant. Because if you know anyone who's depressed, and sadly, the amount of people being diagnosed with depression nowadays is just going up and up and up. something that seems to be quite a similar occurrence between people is that it's not necessarily just the depression that adds to suffering. It's the fact that they feel completely and totally numb.
Wow.
Now, it doesn't matter who you are. If you go into cold water, you're going to start to feel something that you haven't felt before. And there's a whole range of benefits for that, one of which is you start to release a hormone, a neurotransmitter known as noradrenaline. And what that does is it starts to shut off certain inflammatory responses, but it starts to wake your body up as well. And as well as that, you start to get more energy from it. Now, you might have remembered at school years and years ago, there was a particular part of a cell called a mitochondria, and it's known as the nuclear power plants within our cells. Well, it turns out that if we want more energy, ideally we want those mitochondria to be working really effectively, and we want as many as possible. Well, being able to be in the cold regularly actually increases that process. It's the scientific term for it is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it means that you start to make more of these nuclear power plants in your body. And so something that very often happens as a barrier to people being able to overcome or deal with any sort of mental health better is, well, the biggest barrier they have is they don't have the energy to be able to make that change. So the moment that we have something that allows us to recreate more energy in our body, there's almost like this catalyst that begins to start, if you like, where people can start to kickstart different aspects and take other actions in their life, whether it's making a change in their nutrition or a change in their movement and their exercise in their day-to-day. So it's one of those things where, yeah, if you go into the cold, you're going to start to feel the benefits immediately. First of all, you're going to feel something, but also it's going to start to give you a lot more energy. And on top of that, the third greatest benefit is a word that seems to be coming up more and more in the mental health arena is inflammation. And in short, all it means is that your body is attacking itself to some extent. Being in the cold is actually scientifically proven to be able to reduce inflammation. And so that's one of the reasons that people are starting to believe that the cold itself has this antidepressant effect with people.
Wow.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. It answers a couple of my questions, actually. That's fantastic. Now, obviously, a lot of people may think that wild swimming seems like a dangerous activity. Do you have any advice for how people can take part in it safely?
Yeah, so there's definitely a few things that I think are worth looking at before you even attempt something. And first of all, if there are any concerns about wild swimming, or if there are any pre-existing medical conditions that you might have, whether it's respiratory related, or if it's cardiovascular or cerebrovascular, I certainly recommend having a conversation with the GP first, or some sort of medical practitioner who can basically prescribe it, if you like, as to whether it might be safe or not for you. Another thing that I would absolutely highly recommend is find someone to do it with, because there's nothing better than being able to have that experience and then be able to share it with someone as well. The amount of times where there are groups that currently exist in Devon and Cornwall where people go together, and actually it's not just the wild swimming alone that has huge benefits, it's that connective element to it as well. So I'd say definitely go with someone as well. And then before getting in the water, there's certainly some breathing practices that people can do to just prep themselves for it. And they can find that for free on YouTube. If they type in Wim Hof method into YouTube, they'll be able to find all of that for free, available at their fingertips. And so, with that in place, we're in one of the most amazing places in the UK to be able to explore that. So take advantage while you can.
Fantastic. Now, I understand you're taking on your own cold challenge for a charity, which is very close to your heart. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. So after my exploit of being able to meet Wim Hof a couple of years ago, one of the challenges that he sets us on the fourth day is we had to climb Mount Śnieżka, which is the tallest mountain in the Czech Republic on the Polish border. And we had to climb that. It was -5 degrees, and we had to do that wearing nothing but our shorts and shoes. And when you first arrive, you think that's going to be absolutely impossible. And then you realize that anyone can do it. I was climbing with men and women, from their teens all the way to their 70s and 80s. And we were doing this in -5 degrees. Mount Śnieżka, just so people understand the height of it, is 300 meters taller than Ben Nevis. And so at the top, when it's -5, -6 degrees, you can imagine it's very, very cold up there. One of the challenges that I'm going to be doing sort of late November, and early December, is a friend and I, and also a gentleman called Josef Kerbel, who broke one of Wim Hof's world records. We're going to be climbing the 3 peaks of the UK, so Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike and Snowdon, and we're going to be climbing that in 24 hours, which is a normal challenge that's done, the 3 peaks in 24 hours. But we're going to be doing that in sub-zero temperatures, wearing nothing but shorts and shoes. To my knowledge, and we're going to be the first people to have ever done that, probably because we've got way too much time on our hands. But we're going to be raising it for a charity that, you're absolutely right, it's so close to my heart. It's called Operation Underground Railroad, and they basically specialise in being able to facilitate underground operations that essentially save people from child sex trafficking. And the whole process that they go through is they infiltrate these different gangs in different countries, and they rescue the children from there. They put them into fantastic rehabilitation projects. But I think the most important thing that they do is they actually teach the local facilities, the local police stations around the area, how to be able to replicate that. So they're not just a one-trick pony. When they go in, they teach the tools that they use to all the facilities that are available, so that when they leave that country, that country can continue to make sure they can prevent future incidents that happen. So extraordinary work that they're doing.
Absolutely fantastic, Scott. I mean, for what you're doing, number one, it's one heck of a feat, and for the reason you're doing it as well, obviously. Absolutely amazing. Scott, we are out of time, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Scott Woods, Health and Wellbeing Wellbeing Coach at PLUSS. Thank you for joining us. Amazing. Again, thanks to Scott for that. It was a great interview. It's been great to hear about all the great support out there with PLUSS. Reassuring to know that you don't have to suffer in silence. Now stay tuned, guys, because after a short break, we're going to be joined by Jan Rooney, a digital health and wellbeing coach at PLUSS. We'll see you in a minute. Hello, welcome back to the show. It's time to take some time out now and relax. We are joined by Jan Rooney, a digital health and wellbeing coach at PLUSS, who is going to take us through a guided meditation session for 10 minutes. Hi Jan, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Fudge, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Before you start the session, we will become fully immersed. Perhaps you can tell us quickly a little bit about these mindfulness exercise sessions, how they came about, and how people can get involved.
Okay, so I've just chosen to do a short mindfulness exercise this afternoon that's from the HOPE course, which is a 6-week course for anybody who has a long-term health condition. which are available in Cornwall at the moment through Volunteer Cornwall. And I believe contact details should be shown on the screen. It's a 6-week course to help anyone with stress relief, learning mindfulness, self-compassion, just being kind to ourselves and learning new skills to help manage pain, anxiety, depression, and anything else that may be sort of troubling people. During the course, there are some lovely mindfulness exercises which are calming, which people can learn, and then if they're interested, they can start to practice themselves on a regular basis. Research shows that practicing mindfulness really does help to reduce stress. It helps to relieve anxiety and depression, and it helps in pain management as well. So it's quite significant. I think basically we get lost in our heads in our negative thinking a lot of the time, and that spirals. And the more we're thinking negative thoughts, the worse we feel about ourselves. So mindfulness really is just a way of reconnecting with ourselves, coming into the body, into the present moment, becoming aware of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, our body sensations, and what's happening around us. So it's very simple, but it does take practice. So just a few minutes, a couple of times a week would really, really help and benefit in lots of ways. So check it out on YouTube as well. If you just want to have a little practice, you can find loads of guided meditations on there and just have a go. So the one I've chosen to do today is called the breathing space. It'll probably be about 6 or 7 minutes, and I'd invite you all to join in if you want to. Don't join in if you don't feel comfortable, and if at any time you don't feel comfortable, just please disengage. Only do it if it's something you feel okay with. A few little tips when practicing mindfulness. So firstly, pay close attention to the present moment. Whatever's happening, and include it. So that might be any noises that are happening around you, it's sensations in your body, feelings, and any thoughts that you're having. So just include them, notice them. Don't try and push them away, and don't judge yourself for any of the thoughts or feelings that you're having. But if you do find that there are judgmental thoughts there, just acknowledge that as well. It's okay. It's just part of what's happening. Be curious as well. So whatever you notice in your thoughts or your feelings or your body, just be curious and just kind of say to yourself, oh, that's interesting. There's some anxiety there, or there's some sadness there, or I just noticed that I'm having some negative thoughts, and just include it. So yeah, basically just observe and notice. There's nothing else that you need to do, and enjoy it. So I'm going to lead you through the process. I'm going to be reading it out, and I'd invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can leave them open. And bringing your awareness into your body and into the present moment. If you're sitting, just notice how your body feels in the chair. Relax your shoulders. Feel the support behind your back, and become aware of how your feet are feeling in contact with the ground. And just take a couple of nice, gentle breaths in through your nose and out through the mouth. And just allow yourself these few minutes to come into your body, to let go of anything else that's going on in your life, and to give yourself a little bit of kindness. So now bring your attention to your inner experience. Gently bring your awareness to what you are experiencing right now in this present moment. And ask yourself, what am I experiencing now, right at this moment? Gently draw your attention to any thoughts that are going through your mind. And simply watch and observe these thoughts without needing to do anything about them. For example, you may say something to yourself like, "Oh, I'm aware of anxious thoughts," or "I'm aware of worry," or "I'm aware that I'm thinking about the past." Whatever the thoughts are for you, just accept them as mental processes. They're thoughts that are simply happening without trying to change them and without getting hooked in. Next, draw your attention to any feelings that you're aware of. Whatever these feelings are, they may be pleasant or unpleasant. You may like them, you may not. But just notice them and allow them to be there. Perhaps saying something to yourself like, "Oh, I'm aware of a sad feeling there." Or "I'm aware that I feel angry right now." Whatever the feeling is for you. Simply accept and acknowledge the feelings just as they are, without the need to change them. Now gently draw your attention to any sensations in your body. Scan your body from your feet up through your legs, your back, shoulders and arms, and your head, and just notice what's there. You may notice sensations which are pleasant or unpleasant. There may be tension or constriction. There may be pain. Just allow it to be there without trying to change them. And perhaps say to yourself, "That's interesting. I notice I'm feeling a tightness in my shoulders," or "I notice I feel a restriction in my belly." Just acknowledge the sensations without trying to change them. Now gently move your focus to your breathing and really focus on your breath. Notice it from when it enters your nose, when you start to breathe in, until you breathe out. Become aware of your breath traveling through your chest and the movements of your abdomen. And if your mind wanders from the breath, just gently bring your attention back. It's okay, it doesn't matter. And if you're having any thoughts, just notice them, allow them to be there, and then come back to the breath. Use your breath to anchor you in this present moment. Now expand your awareness to include your breath and a sense of your total body, all aspects of it. So breath, breathing, body, sensations. Notice that it is as if your whole body is being breathed, is breathing softly and gently. And if any feelings or sensations or tension or discomfort emerge, imagine your breath moving in and around those sensations, So if there's sadness there, breathe in and allow that breath to go to the sadness. If there's pain in your body, breathe in and take the breath to where the pain is. Accepting and embracing all of the sensations in your body. And gently exploring them without needing to change anything. And when their presence becomes less noticeable for you, gently and softly bring your awareness back to the whole body sensation in the present moment. Becoming aware again of how your body feels in your seat, your feet on the floor, your abdomen rising as you breathe, your legs, your belly, your back, your arms, and your head. And taking one nice, gentle, deep breath in through the nose. And out through the mouth. And just saying to yourself, I accept myself just as I am in this present moment. And just bringing some kindness to yourself and a little bit of self-compassion. I'm okay as I am. I don't need to be any different. And if you feel comfortable, just bringing your hands to your arms and just give yourself a little hug. And thank yourself for taking part in this exercise this afternoon. Then give your fingers and your toes a little wiggle. Have a little stretch if you want to. And then when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and coming back into your space. And thank you for taking part in this exercise this afternoon. I hope you have an easeful and an enjoyable afternoon. Thank you.
Lovely stuff, Jan. Thank you very much for that great session. I think a lot of people don't understand how easy it is to get stressed and don't even realise when they're getting there. And sometimes doing things like this, well, a lot of the times, can really help alleviate people and get people on the right track. So thank you for taking the time to come on and do this for us.
You're welcome. It's been lovely. And thank you to everyone for taking part.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Jen. And obviously, thank you to all of my guests today. Lots of great advice and tips on dealing with stress.